Welcome to Brand Lover, honest, real, and lively conversations for flourishing entrepreneurs and budding business owners on a mission to cultivate a heartfelt brand that connects with their purpose-driven mission. My hope is that you walk away feeling inspired and refreshed with a weekly takeaway in your back pocket that you can apply to your life or business. Welcome to Kate Vivian of Bright Mums and Kate Vivian Coaching. I'm just so excited to have Kate on the podcast today. I only met Kate recently, like probably in earlier this year, in 2022, I guess, for anyone listening in the future. But I just love her contagious passion for empowering mums and women to thrive during one of the most challenging periods of life, being motherhood, which I am knee deep in at the moment. So I completely relate. Thank you so much, Kate.
Oh, thank you for having me. Yeah, you're right. I am absolutely passionate about this stuff and was so excited to have the chance to talk to you about it and spread the word somewhere.
So we were just chatting prior to recording and I just thought, oh my gosh, we should already be recording because you are just, you're so passionate and it is, and I really admire, your spirit in helping mums through this phase. So what I'd love to do first is for you to introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about you, who you are, and about your business.
So, Kate, as mentioned, after a bit of an evolution of business, I'm now a life coach and mentor for mums. So I support women rediscovering their self-worth, really giving themselves permission to step out of that invisibility of motherhood that I think we can all feel sometimes, and really live the life that they want, but without the mum guilt that so often comes with, having kids. And as a mum of three, I know the mum guilt all too well, and it's just been there. And what I found is I didn't have the support that, with the benefit of hindsight, I really needed at the time. So that's how I got started in the business journey, which was very different to how it looks now. So 6 years ago, I think I started out, but very much with a focus on childbirth education.
Yeah, and then, so you've evolved quite a bit since then.
Hugely,
But what were you doing before that?
A completely different day job. So completely separate. I've worked in training, adult education, learning and development for my entire career, basically.
Amazing.
So thought I'd do something a little bit different to that.
Yeah. So what was the catalyst for you to really, to see this need that you felt so strongly to fulfill, to do? It takes a lot to actually take that step. A lot of people have ideas for businesses all the time, or they see a need, and say, oh, someone should do this about this, and they never actually make themselves accountable. So what was the shift for you?
It was really the falling pregnant with my second daughter. So baby number one, this all started from having a not fantastic first birth experience, which I think so many mums could relate to. And then fell pregnant with my second, decided that I couldn't have that same experience again. So went about changing it for myself and educating myself, did a whole lot more work on myself to have a different experience. And then afterwards, like moments after having my baby, where I literally held her on my chest and just went, that was awesome. We need to do that again.
Yes.
I don't think my husband was quite so keen in that particular moment, but it was just so different. And then after that, it became, well, birth doesn't have to be as awful as what I first thought. And women do have options and we've got choices and we can make decisions along the way. So then it was starting to share that. And it was, I didn't know this. There must be others who don't know this. That has to change.
Yeah.
So
you made it really that.
I did, yeah. Even just letting women know that they've got options and that they can have a voice and that they can do things differently to what we've been told we should do or how it just is how it always is. Yeah.
Yes, 100%. And so, you went on this journey of self-empowerment, self-discovery. You had your own wonderful experience. You wanted to share it with the world. You created this incredible business and have recently evolved. So tell us a little bit more about why you're making a shift, what that shift is, and where you're heading now.
Yeah. So I think my business has very much followed my journey and what I needed as a mum at every step along the way. So I'm evolving, and as I'm evolving, my business is doing the same. But having worked in the birth education space and also as a doula and a postpartum doula for the last couple of years, I noticed what really was missing was afterwards. Like, we put so much emphasis, and I did exactly this, put so much focus on the birth, and then everything afterwards tends to get forgotten, and we forget that there's a woman at the other side of that birth with a baby and often very little support, and we don't talk about what happens next. Sometimes there's support in the immediate postpartum, but not following. We forget that this mum will then have to carry on with this baby through all those tough times, that first year, that transition back to work, all the different stages that happen after that. I felt that area is something that really needs some focus and energy as well. So I've shifted from the childbirth education and doula work more to really support and coaching and mentoring for mums afterwards.
Yeah, because it never ends, does it?
It doesn't, no. And there's always a new season, a new phase, a new transition. Like my littlest one now is getting ready to go to school next year. So that's a different phase and a different area of support that, we need to be talking about.
Yeah, and it's a different identity shift for the mother again.
Yeah.
I really relate to that. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's that identity. Yeah, it is. It's that identity shift that happens immediately following birth, and then continues on. And I think that we're always evolving that identity, but without really understanding what's happening, and that we do evolve and things change, but we've got this pull that is trying to always pull us back to who we were before, what we knew before, because that's comfortable and we know that, and we knew who we were before. And now suddenly we're this new person with a new little baby, and things can get more challenging.
Yes. Oh, yes. There's so much I could unpack there.
Yeah, how long have we got?
I'm just having flashbacks of all these things. But let's start with the initial identity shift, because I think this is something that is it's obvious. Like, it is the most obvious change. Like, you're not a mum one day, and then the next day you're a mum, and you are just completely knee deep in looking after this tiny human. Like, I think it's something all mums can relate to. There is no one on this planet that cannot, put their hand on their heart and tell me that they haven't been through this. Will never ever be that same person ever again. Like, for me, that was huge. I never expected it. It hit me like a ton of bricks. All of a sudden I was just completely surrendered to keeping this small person alive, sacrificing everything else. Because, although there are in society people say you don't have to sacrifice this, blah, 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 in those early days you actually do. Like, you have got to forsake all else for the care of this tiny thing, this little squishy, delicious human. And I really struggled with it. Of course it's this pull, isn't it? Like, you adore that little person, like you couldn't even imagine living without them, but at the same time you're just going through this strange process that you don't really feel like you don't feel like you can admit to it either. Like, it's sort of like an internal struggle. And I found that going from 0 to 1 child was much more difficult than when each subsequent child came along, for sure. And even though you know, you love it and you're trying to embrace it. It's just this like this battle, this mental battle. How do we like how do you support mums through that? Because I can't even articulate it.
it's it's a challenging time. It really
Yeah.
is. And I think number one is having an understanding that there is a shift. There is that transition, there is that one day you don't have a baby, and then the next day you do, and you're in the full throes of motherhood.
Yeah.
And it's understanding that you're not alone, and there's a language around it. There's a word for this transition, and it's matrescence. So matrescence is that complete transition that a woman goes through as she becomes a mother, and it affects all areas of our life. And for some women, it might just be it affects this particular area of their life just a tiny bit. And for others, it will be it impacts us in every dimension, whether it's physical, social, cultural, biological, psychological, economically. It impacts every single area of our life. So I think even just having someone to sit with and say, yes, this is a thing.
Yeah.
Yes, it exists. Yeah. You're not broken.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with you. It is the transition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I love that. And I
even
never even heard that word until a couple of years ago. And my eldest is 10.
isn't it crazy?
Yeah.
Yeah. It is becoming it's being talked about more, which is
Right.
good. It's
Yeah.
a relatively, I say relatively, new word for
Okay.
something that we've been going through forever.
Yeah. Forever.
Yeah.
Literally forever.
Yeah. So yeah, and I think just having that understanding that it's not just you, and it's okay to feel that push and that pull, that yes, you absolutely love this little baby and you will do anything for them, but at the same time you've got this pull back, this but I just miss some parts. I miss being able to get up and go for a coffee without even having to think about it, like and just leave the house.
Yeah.
Now I miss having that, maybe it's financial independence, or I miss my colleagues, or I miss the spontaneity I had before. Yeah. So knowing that that ambivalence, that push and that pull is normal. It's a part of it.
Yeah, 'cause it's very confusing. I found it very confusing. And then I felt guilty for even having those thoughts. Like I missed the person I was before because I looked forward to being a mom my whole life. Like I was that little girl that played babies probably longer than I should have. And I just, it was something that was always on the cards for me. When it finally happened, it was so different to what I expected it to be. And it's so confusing.
It is. And particularly because we've got this cultural idea that we should love every single minute of it. And we should be completely sacrificing everything that we do, our whole selves, for this baby, which, firstly, nobody loves every minute of everything. And to set that as an ideal or a benchmark or an expectation is just unrealistic.
Yeah.
We've got this real like the idea of the good mother who is perfect at everything, falls naturally into mothering, easy pregnancy, easy birth, finds mothering easy, but completely ignores the reality of it. It's not always easy, and you're sleep deprived and your body's going through all these massive changes, you're going through all these massive changes, and we pretty much just tell women to get on with it. So it's, when you say it's confusing, you're not wrong. You're really not.
Yeah, and it's also, part of the marketing messages that we're receiving on TV, particularly, you think of Huggies ads and there's the perfect mum with her blonde ponytail and her makeup, like just loving changing this cute little pudgy baby's nappy, and it's all just like lovely and soft and everything's white and clean.
And the reality is I haven't showered today. I'm in yesterday's dirty clothes.
There's vomit down my back that I didn't realize that I just went down to Woolies with.
Right. And then there's that guilt that, well, why can't I be like the Huggies ad, why am I failing at this? Why aren't I loving every minute of it? Why can't I get my act together like all the other mums seem to?
Yeah.
And then that guilt builds, and then we feel worse about it, and it's just this self-perpetuating cycle.
Yes. So thank God for women like you. That's all I can say. It's so needed.
I think it's so important to know that none of us have our act completely together, and we are all just doing the best we can in the moment that we're in.
Yeah,
that's it.
Exactly. 100%. Now let's move on to, I mean, it's sort of the same topic, but I know that I was just so focused on the birth of my first baby. I had absolutely no clue how to look after a baby. Like, I went to the classes, and I had a vague idea of what was going to happen and what I would have to do. But the reality of it and how I was going to be feeling, and the whole body transition and any sort of like pain and discomfort, and the sleep deprivation is like nothing you will ever experience before. Even if it's just when you went out to stayed up too late when you went to the pub, it's a completely different type of sleep deprivation. All these things compound, and it's like you just slapped in the face. Like, for me anyway, like I was focused so much on the birth and having the birth experience that I wanted to, that I don't know, I guess I just ignored that phase. And then all of a sudden, like I just, as we just spoke about this before we started recording, but like even just for things like the baby was feeding for an hour and me just thinking like, what's wrong with my baby? I just, is this sort of the type of thing that prompted you to move into more of the postpartum support?
Originally, yes, it was the the really, I don't know what to do now. I came home and I was like, I don't know what am I meant to do with this baby? I don't know who I am, and now I'm meant to be looking after this little person. So it really was that originally got me into that immediate postpartum support, and knowing that so often women were just sent home. Just sent home. Like nothing was different. Like it was just a new day, and here's a little baby that you now need to look after. And
thanks for coming. See you later.
Thanks for, exactly right. With no support, with the expectation that really you just get on with life. And now you've just added a new title to your list of titles, and you've got a new human to look after. But I found we're not, we've got a long way to go in supporting women in that postpartum period. Even letting her know that the need for rest is real, and that it's okay to rest, and it's okay to set boundaries around, having visitors over, or if people are coming over, to say, yep, you can come if you want, but bring a meal and be prepared to put on a load of washing. Absolutely okay.
Especially with the shift in society, with more women like going off to work, they're busy. Our society is not quite the village that we used to have, it's great. I think, it's wonderful that as women, we have so much more freedom now. We're so much more empowered to do things now. But the consequence of that, I feel, is that village is just slowly disappearing. We're living overseas, away from our parents, or interstate. We don't have family around like we used to. Do you think that's a contributing factor as well?
Absolutely. We've lost not only the support of having family, friends, not even necessarily in the same house, but nearby. Like we don't know our neighbours in the same way that maybe we did growing up. We've lost that physical support, but we've also lost the wisdom that comes with a village as well. Those conversations that we would have been having, saying, this is the reality of motherhood, and these these transitions are going to happen, and it's okay.
Mm.
And so we've lost not only the actual support, people coming in, helping out with baby, letting mum, rest, or cooking her meals, or that side of it, but we've lost the wisdom. Well, we haven't lost it. We don't talk about it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's such a great point.
Yeah.
So yeah, just shifting the conversation a little bit now to business stuff. So we met obviously because you joined one of the live rounds of my course, Brand Alchemy, for this new iteration of your business. So how was that experience? I'd love to know how that experience has shaped where you're going and sort of how you saw your business before as opposed to after going through that experience.
I don't think I would be sitting here today having a conversation with you about the support afterwards without that, about coaching and mentoring and helping and supporting women to rediscover their worth and really step out of the invisibility of motherhood without having done that course with you first. I think that gave me so thank you.
Oh, you're
Thank you so
welcome.
much. But it gave me the foundations and the clarity to know where I needed to be going, which was such a powerful experience, because I knew I had an idea, but I didn't, like I was saying before, I almost didn't have the language around it.
Yeah.
And working with you allowed that language to happen. So such a good experience, and it's made, I think, that transition or the evolution of my business so much easier. So
Wonderful.
much easier.
Oh, that's really exciting. I'm just super pleased to hear that, because like a lot of people feel really stuck in their initial brand that they establish.
Yes.
It's like, I've made this little fence for myself and I have to stay inside this fence. It's a mental block, I feel, and you're a really beautiful example of a brand that's naturally evolving, and you're allowed to.
Yes.
And the fact that you say, like, my brand is evolving with me, I think that makes sense. Like, you're growing as a person, you're growing as a business owner, your knowledge that you can impart to people is growing. You don't have to be bound by whatever the initial boundaries were that you set up, although they're helpful for that season. It's just really exciting, and I just feel excited for you, watching you flourish and grow into this new version of your brand. So it's wonderful for me. That's a little bit selfish, but I just love it. Like, for me, I feel selfish because I get so excited for my students and my clients when I see it. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Do you have any advice for new mums, particularly perhaps mums who have a business at home already, as I did when I welcomed my first baby? Do you have any advice for them to just not necessarily thrive, because I don't know that anyone can thrive during that period, but just to make it a little easier?
Yeah, I think firstly, go gently with yourself. I think we can so often get caught up in all the shoulds and all the things that we should be doing all of the time. And then when we don't meet all of the shoulds, that guilt can start to come in. So really go gently, speak to yourself kindly. Imagine you were having a conversation with your best friend, and if she was saying, I'm really struggling with all of this, what would you say to her?
Yeah.
And then speak to yourself like that. I think that's been a game changer for me, is learning to speak to myself like I would my best friend. And with that, know that it's okay to not do it all. None of us can. None of us can do it all, and certainly not at the one time. So ask for help and support, be open to receiving it, and know that this phase and this season is going to pass as well. Like, this moment, if you're having a really horrid day, this will pass.
Yeah.
Really tricky, sleep deprived, don't even have a moment it feels like you don't have a moment to breathe, let alone work. This will pass as well. these
Yeah,
moments
I
with
love
partners.
that phrase. That's actually
Yeah.
just reminded me, my best mum friend that I met when we met, our babies are born one day apart, and we met in our mother's group, and we just connected
Oh,
because we
awesome.
were both just freaking out.
Yeah,
But
as you do.
yeah, so in those early stages, we used to, like, if we were having a rough time or period, sleep, leaps, all that stuff, this too shall pass. And we still do
Yes.
that. We live in different states now, but if we're having a rough time, this too shall pass. And I just love
Still
that.
pass.
I love that.
Yeah,
Thank
absolutely.
you.
Yeah, pleasure. And one other thing, do something that's for you. Like, it's okay to bring you back into motherhood.
Yeah.
It doesn't all have to be about your baby. And
Mm.
even if it's little, even if it's like, some days it might sound ridiculous, I'd be in my milk stained clothes, but I'd put on lipstick because it made me feel good. So
Yeah.
even just something really little every day that is you, I think makes a big difference.
Yes. Oh, I love it. Thank you so much, Kate. I've just loved this chat with you. I could talk
Thank
to you all
you.
day, I think.
Yeah,
Just,
tell me about it. I would
yeah,
love chatting with you.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I have just some fun rapid fire questions to wrap up, just to
Okay.
to learn a little bit more about you. So I'm
Mhm.
going to ask what your favorite is, and then I will say a word, and then it's just whatever
Okay.
comes to mind. Okay, what's your
Whatever
favorite
comes
app?
next. Favorite
App,
app.
like on your
Oh
phone.
gosh. This is how bad it is. I don't know. It's the weather app. How
Okay.
crazy
Oh,
is that?
I love the weather app. It's my favorite.
Yeah. How do you live life without knowing if you can get your washing done for the day?
Exactly.
The weather app.
Are you even a mum if you don't check the weather? Oh, how funny. All right,
I'm going to
favorite
regret that later, but yeah.
time of day?
I love early mornings. I get up really early and I love getting outside in very early morning.
Nice.
Mm.
Exercise. What's your favorite exercise?
Toss up between going to the gym and walking in the rain.
In
I
the
love it.
rain.
Absolutely love it. Yep, I know,
Oh,
crazy.
new one.
I don't
Okay,
necessarily love, if I'm walking to work and I then get wet, but if I'm set up and I go for a walk and it's raining, I'm in heaven.
Can be
Yeah.
quite romantic, can't it?
Yeah. Except
Yeah.
I'm also generally doing it very early in the morning and it's cold, but
Oh,
I love it. I love it.
thanks.
Yeah.
Okay, favorite habit.
Or it has to be chocolate. I don't know if that could be a habit,
I
but it
think
is.
that's a great habit. If that's your habit, just own it.
That's my habit.
So good.
Yeah.
Okay, favorite way to relax.
Exercise.
Yeah.
Yeah. For me, it's absolutely getting some exercise in is my relaxer.
Yeah. All right. Last thing. What's your favorite thing about your business?
The fact that I get to talk about stuff that I really love talking about, knowing that it also helps others. I think if I can support one person through their journey, that is my job. I'm done. It makes such a difference. If I can support someone else to have a different journey, a journey where they feel supported, where they feel, like someone's got their back, I'm happy.
Oh,
yeah.
That's beautiful. Thank you. And thank you so much for your time and sharing your wisdom and just really lovely, open, honest chat. Like, I've really enjoyed it. So thank you.
Thank you.
Where can we find you?
Yes. So website is just katevivian.com.au. Instagram is still evolving. So right now it's Kate_Vivian_Bright Mums. You'll find me. They're the two places I hang out most.
So if you search for Kate Vivian, because potentially in the future somebody will be listening and you will have changed your Instagram handle. So
yes.
if you search for Kate Vivian, then that might.
Yes, I think Kate Vivian might be taken, so I will keep you updated.
We'll pop the link in the show notes. I will just, if you want to find it, scroll down and I'll pop it in the show notes. So thank you so much again, Kate.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening. If you loved this week's episode of Brand Lover, take a screenshot of wherever you're listening and share your biggest takeaway on Instagram or Facebook, and don't forget to tag me. I'd love to give you a shout out and thank you personally. Also, feel free to subscribe and leave a review to help the Brand Lover podcast reach more heart-aligned entrepreneurs just like yourself. Thanks again, and I'll see you next week.